So, have you ever really stopped to think about what happens after you call the IT help desk? The journey your little support ticket takes is way more complex than you might imagine. It's a path that's grown from, just fixing your printer to this incredibly sophisticated system of governance that's designed to protect our entire digital world. We're going to trace that path from the simplest glitches to modern full-scale governance.
You might think so, right? On the surface, it seems pretty straightforward. You have a problem, someone helps you fix it. But the reality? It's a deeply specialized world. I mean, the person who resets your password is in a completely different universe from the team that's defending a company against a global cyber attack. So no, not all tech support is the same. Not even close.
Okay, so to make sense of all this, the entire IT industry uses this foundational framework. It's the three-tiered model of support. And this isn't just some corporate jargon, it's a really smart strategic system for escalating problems. It makes sure the right expert is handling the right issue at the right time, whether it's a tiny glitch or a catastrophic system failure. Everything kicks off with Tier 1. Think of them as your IT concierge. This is your first point of contact, that friendly voice on the phone or the helpful person in the chat window. They are trained to solve the most common everyday problems, and, just as importantly, they act as these expert gatekeepers, making sure the really tricky problems get routed to the right specialists. And we've all been here, haven't we? The endless password reset loop, the Wi-Fi that just decides to drop for no reason, or my personal favorite, the printer that just stubbornly refuses to print. This is the world of Tier 1. Their whole expertise is in quickly knocking out these high-volume, everyday issues that, seem simple but can bring our entire day to a grinding halt. But what happens when turn it off and on again just doesn't cut it? Well, that's when your ticket gets escalated to Tier 2. These are the specialists. They're not following a script. They are performing a deep dive investigation. Their job is to dig into the system and figure out the true root cause of the problem. They want to know why it's broken. The best way to think about it is probably with a medical analogy. Tier 1 is like your family doctor. They handle the common colds, the routine checkups. But when the issue is more serious and the standard remedies just aren't working, you get referred to Tier 2, the specialist, the one who has that deep knowledge to diagnose and treat the really complex condition. Yeah, Tier 2 is where the really frustrating problems land. We're talking about the dreaded blue screen of death, that persistent virus your antivirus software can't seem to kill, or that absolute heart-stopping moment when you realize some critical files are just gone. These issues, they require a much deeper level of technical skill and some pretty specialized tools to fix. And then, at the very top of the pyramid, you have Tier 3. These experts aren't just fixers, they're the architects and engineers who probably built the system in the first place. When a problem gets to them, it's often something totally new or a system-wide failure. Their job isn't just to patch the leak, it's to re-engineer the whole system so that problem can never, ever happen again. The scope of Tier 3 is just immense. They're managing these sprawling cloud platforms like AWS and Azure, they're doing the deep dive root cause analysis after a major outage, and they might even be writing code-level fixes for critical business software. This is the really high-stakes preventative work that keeps the digital backbone of entire companies up and running. Okay, so we've covered the theory. Now let's see how all these principles actually apply to a real-world service. We're going to take a look at the anatomy of a professional deep PC cleanup to really understand what a structured, thorough fix looks like in action. Just think of it like one of those deep cleaning services for your house. They don't just come in and take out the trash. A professional deep clean for your computer is a total overhaul of its health. They get into every single digital nook and cranny to clean, repair, and optimize the whole thing. A pro-level deep clean follows this really meticulous, multi-stage process. It's not random at all. It starts with the basics, clearing out junk files. Then it moves to more surgical stuff, like removing bloatware and disinfecting malware. Once the system is clean, it gets repaired, patched up, and finally tuned for the best possible performance. It's a complete step-by-step restoration of your device's health. So, up to this point, we've mostly talked about fixing things that are already broken. But here's where the entire philosophy of tech management is making this huge, crucial pivot. In today's world, it's just not enough to be good at fixing problems anymore. The modern strategy is all about preventing them from ever happening in the first place. And this right here, this contrast, it represents a fundamental shift in thinking. The reactive approach, that's the classic break-fix model we all know and, let's be honest, hate.
But the proactive approach, that's all about constant vigilance. It's systematically scanning for weaknesses, automating updates, and monitoring 24/7 to shut down threats before they can do any damage.
So what does this proactive strategy actually look like? Well, the first big pillar is something called business continuity. And believe me, this goes way beyond just making a few copies of your files. It's about having a rock-solid plan to make sure a business can keep on functioning even when facing a true disaster. Honestly, simple backups are old school. The new standard is Disaster Recovery as a Service, or DRAS. And the difference is just staggering. Look, if a fire or a flood destroys an office, a simple backup on a hard drive isn't going to help you. But DRAS, it can bring the company's entire server environment back online in the cloud in a matter of minutes, so people can just keep working. It also protects your cloud data, something a lot of people don't realize isn't automatically backed up by Microsoft or Google.
All right, the second pillar of a proactive strategy is all about automation. The goal here is to automate the entire lifecycle of every single device, from the moment an employee unboxes it to the day it's retired. This makes sure that security and efficiency are just built in from the start and maintained without somebody having to constantly check on it. And this is where it gets really smart. Instead of having to manually update every single program, automated patching can silently close security holes in high-risk apps like Chrome or Zoom. And with something called zero-touch deployment, a new employee's laptop literally sets itself up automatically right out of the box. It is all about using automation to prevent problems before a human ever has to lift a finger. This whole proactive mindset leads us directly to the modern cybersecurity landscape. And you have to think of it as a constantly evolving battlefield, where our defense mechanisms have to be just as sophisticated, if not more so, than the attacks they're facing. Forget about that traditional antivirus you're used to, the one that just scans for threats it already knows about. The new standard is EDR, or Endpoint Detection and Response. This technology watches for suspicious behavior. So if a program suddenly starts encrypting your files, the classic signature of ransomware, EDR doesn't just see it, it kills the process and can even roll back the damage. The X in XDR just means it extends that same protection beyond your computer to the network and the cloud. It is a total game changer. A modern defense isn't just one thing, it's multi-layered. It includes having a 24/7 Security Operations Center, a SOC, which is basically a team of experts watching for intruders in real time. It means running constant vulnerability scans to find weak spots before the bad guys do. And it even involves training your staff by sending them fake phishing emails so they learn what to look out for. And today, the defense perimeter has to extend beyond the company network to your own personal identity. Using a technique from the intelligence world called OSINT, or Open Source Intelligence, security pros actually investigate what publicly available information about you or your family, your digital footprint, could be weaponized by an attacker in a social engineering scheme. So what does that look like? It means actively scanning the dark web to see if your leaked passwords are for sale. It means hunting for scam websites that are impersonating your company to trick customers. And it means auditing exactly what an attacker can learn about you from public sources. It's about treating your public information like a critical asset that needs to be protected. So, all of this leaves us with one final, really crucial question to think about. As we navigate this incredibly complex digital world, are we just fixing things as they break? Or are we truly taking the steps to protect our data, our devices, and our identities before disaster strikes? Because that choice, the choice between being reactive and being proactive, well, it's never been more important.